Amen. Amen. We are grateful for another Wednesday night. It is the 12th of August, 12 days into the month. It is 7 days from my surgery. Uh, it is 4 days from us bringing our daughter to Daytona to college. So we are grateful. I know it's how can you let cook. This dude here, boy, we have some experiences here at Shepherd. We live, but we also alive because we like to enjoy. So for those of you that may get offended, we don't do anything no different than we're on air or off air because we like everything to be in the air. We are just real. We don't do anything that's out of order. And if you feel that it's out of order, this is everyday life. And I do that because at the end of the day, what we do is how we live. How we live is what we do. And I say that because 4 days ago, which was the 8th of August, I rode with my wife and them down to Daytona. 7 days ago, which was the 5th of August, I had a major surgery on my heart. I have an apostle friend of mine I have to call back because in November we will be going to South Carolina to take care of some business for the Lord with him and their church and their fellowship. I'm talking slow because I'm going to take my time as much as I can tonight, as this is my first time back doing some things for the Lord. I don't want to be too overly zealous or too overly excited because I know how I physically get and I know how I physically submit to what the Spirit does. We've been talking about being order, obedient. We've been talking about structure. The thing about it is that when we operate order, it has to do with being covenant. If there is no covenant, because we all remember as kids, we didn't realize that we created order, covenant, a relationship. We created structure with those kids that we grew up with, whether it was our family members or whether it was somebody that we found relationship around, right? Mhm. And in that, we established who we were with them, who they were with us. We told them what our name was. Mhm. We asked them what their name was. And 9 times out of 10, we asked them, "What's your name?" Mm-hmm. Because as kids, all of us had, most of us, our voices were all light, right? Mm-hmm. And they tell us their name, and we'll tell the name. We asked them where they were from or where they lived, however that may have went when we asked those certain questions, right? We asked them what they like doing or what they like to play with or what was their favorite toy or what their favorite color was. We were establishing a rapport. Mm-hmm. We was establishing an intimate relationship. Mm-hmm. And of that, as adults, we think intimate or intimacy is always physical. Mm-hmm. But intimate and intimacy start with being able to learn about a person. Mm-hmm. In covenant, we establish a ground where we begin to establish an agreement between ourselves and somebody else. Mm-hmm. We establish order because we create this bond that says you and I, because nobody else is around, and we created an order that says we won't allow anybody to come between us, right? Right. And if somebody else come, they understood the order that was is me and you, or you and I first, right? Mm-hmm. And what we would do, we would make sure they understood that the first persons that were first were you and I. Mm-hmm. Billy and Bob, Mary and Jane. Because normally those are names that we were taught in school that, or we were taught that came first, right? Mm-hmm. Sue and Sally, right? Yeah. John and Bob, right? Those were just playful names that when we got in school that they would actually call out just as, fictitious name to say that that's how you establish something. So the order was established. A covenant was pretty much made. It was a formality that says, here's our agreement. We're going to be friends. You're my best friend. Because we didn't know that, being best friends came with some things, right?
Right.
I'm going to make sure nobody bother you. And we would say the same thing about them. Nobody's going to ever hurt you. And if it looked like somebody was hurting you or you found yourself in a position where it looked like somebody was trying to harm your best friend, you stopped with everything you was doing because you knew that voice, right? You ran to their aid or they ran to your aid because that was a covenant that nobody would ever do you wrong.
Right.
We found out even if it was a child of another color, and it was a black child and a white child, and a lot of times they called them brothers or sisters, or brother and brother, sister and sister, right? Mm-hmm. And for some reason, as kids growing up, we didn't see color. Mm-hmm. And they grew up the same way, and in towns that were small, it really didn't matter until we found ourselves getting into bigger towns and people had issues with race. Mm-hmm. We didn't realize that race or racial tension had nothing to do with race itself because it became bigotry. Because when you look at the word racism, it means to erase or eradicate a particular color in itself. Bigotry simply is defined, or in a simple term, is putting somebody above somebody else because they feel greater than another.
Yes.
But when you talk about racism, it's talking about purifying one race, getting rid of one color, and only having one color, setting a standard as being as one color. Mm-hmm. So when we look at that order, covenant, relationship, and we set a structure of how we will bring other people into our circle, right?
Right.
And you had to meet those standards, because when you talk about order and you talk about covenant and you talk about relationship and you talk about structure, you had certain standards that had to be met as well, right?
Right.
Now I'm going somewhere with that because I want to go into the book of Deuteronomy tonight, and I want to go in the book of Deuteronomy 29 and 30 and chapter 31 and chapter 32, because when you look at the word duo, it means two, or it means second, or it means to repeat, or it means to redo, or it means to go back over, because it means something had to be looked back over or reestablished, right? Because if your original best friend is no longer that best friend, and somebody now has replaced the best friend that you once had, you have to reestablish order, right?
Yes.
You have to reestablish a covenant, because you have to make sure that you put yourself in position. You don't allow the same things to now go on that happened the first time. There are some same structural requirements, but they're a little bit different. Because now you want to make sure that what's in place this time are not overwritten by somebody this time. Right. That happened the first time, right? The covenant agreement is still the same, but you are allowing them to understand that, listen, you're still going by the same structure, the same standard, but in this standard now, I need you to understand, no, you're not them, but this time I'm looking a little bit different, because I'm not going to allow myself, when I see some things repeating itself, not to give in to the same guidelines. Am I making any sense? Sure. So the order is how this is going down. So I need you to tell me what went on with you with your previous best friend, and I'll let you know what went on with my previous best friend, and we're going to find a way to meet in the middle so that we don't allow ourselves to end up in the same kind of mess. But we build a covenant that now protects us, and when we allow other folk to get in this circle, they find same perimeters, boundaries, and borders, and they meet the standards that we all follow, and we're going in the same place. Is that making any sense? Yes. So when we look at the 29th chapter of Deuteronomy, you're going to see some things that Moses began to talk about as the scribe pins down, and as he began to call everybody together and reminds them of what God had already previously said in the Exodus, in Leviticus, in Numbers, while they were out in the wilderness and in that journey getting ready to find themselves investing in the promises that he said and what he allowed to transpire and the fact of how he did what he did and how he kept them, and not only his own people, but those that strangers that journeyed with him out of the land of Egypt, and how he separated the sons of Adam. Chapter 29. So I want you to recognize that when there is an order set, and he reminded them that God's order and God establishing and God's creation, Yah. Come on. How before even the angels found themselves in their heavenly places, their authoritative positions, the power that had been distributed unto them. Before sin had been there was an order to what God did. Before chaos had taken place, before sin was thrown out of heaven into the earth, and the earth was not sinful, but yet sin was in the earth. God had already created a covenant that he knew that he would make with man. He knew what he would do before it was even done, and before it was established. He already structured how structure would be, and when it was time to restructure it, not looking for man to fail, because he knew he would put himself aside of what would be created to be man and how man would be created. So he was expecting himself to be in himself and knowing what himself was in what would mirror himself, but he still gave free will to his creation. If that's making any sense. Yes. So the concept of what we look at in divinity and theology goes pretty much out of the window. God gave them. We look at the study of his divine and his theological side, but yet in the same purpose, when you look at it, he gave relationship at the same time. Because he knew himself, because he was himself. Then he structured everything about himself so that we can get to know himself. But then you have to look at the mere fact that here he reiterates why, when, how, and where. And he also made sure that if by chance you didn't, there was a way to get back to it. But if you chose to still walk the same path, that the same destruction that had taken when the sons of Adam decided to go wayward, that path would be yours. Then if we go into what he had wrote after his son came, because we failed and we were fragile and we chose to do the same things even now, at the placement that we are now, with our educated and undereducated selves. Say what I mean by that. We're so educated, have no education at all. We're so literate, but yet we're so illiterate. We're so smart, but yet we're still so dumb. We're so spiritual, but yet we're spiritless. Y'all better talk to me. We're so rich, but we're so poor. We have so much, but we have nothing else. We live in so lavish, but yet there is nothing that says that we have anything that is lavishable. We have expensive clothes, but they're worn out. They just look good, but they're trash. Yet Israel, the sons of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob wandered 40 years, and their leather shoes never wore out. Their cloaks never got frayed. Clothes never wore out. They had a 3-day journey, and they wandered in a circle for 40 years. When they got thirsty, he gave them water out of a rock. When they got hungry, he gave them manna from heaven. He gave them land that they never worked for. Come on. You'll find in that same 29th chapter that when they had to fight a battle against a man named Og in a land called Bashan, which is also where Baal was, or Babel was. Og was a man that stood almost 7 foot tall. Come on. He was a Rephilim that came from the Nephilim. Y'all better talk to the original. And they fell in their sight. You'll find all of that in there from chapter 29 to chapter 32, because in chapter 32, and I'm giving you a breakdown of it, but I'm going to read into 29 in just a second, but I'm giving you a breakdown because when we look at how we establish our stuff, it just ain't so happenstance that we did it, but it's because of how God did what he did from the beginning, because from the beginning when he finally finished all the creation, he created a man that he gave order to. He said, have dominion. He told him to subdue. Then he told him to have dominion again. He had natural and spiritual dominion. But the process of that, he had to make sure that he maintained it right. Then he saw it got lonely because his job was not to do some of the things that we've done over the years. And when I say we've done, because we're a part of humankind, right? And humankind played with some things they had no business playing with, right? We laid with some things we ain't had no business laying with, right? Y'all better talk to me. Let me say it. My sister said from Louisiana, she used the word turching. We turched some things we had no business turching. We laid down with some things we had no business laying down with. We put our mouths on some things we had no business putting our mouths on. Drunk with some stuff we had no business getting drunk with. Some of us are drunk with stuff that we ain't even had to ingest because our drunkenness. Right. You can read this in your own sweet time. You can go to Galatians chapter 5 and you'll see what Paul starts talking off in the beginning, that he tells us to stand fast. He tells us because in his 5th letter to the church at Galatia, he said, y'all got so caught up with the law, y'all want to be so stuck in the law and live by the law that you got buffled, befooled, you got bewitched. You had somebody telling you that you needed to still live by something that you wanted to live by, but then you still wanted to walk by grace at the same time. And you forgot that in your flesh that you have a part of you that want to live by the Spirit, then a part of you that still want to live in the flesh. Come on. So, where's the order? There is a heavenly order. There's an eternal order. There's a divine order. There's a spiritual order. There's an earthly order. There's a human order. Come on. There's a marital order, social order, physical order, mental order, psychological order. Y'all better talk to me. There is a sexual order. We don't want to hear those things, right? Because the world said we can do what we want to do, but then we don't want to deal with the things that come behind it, because then there is an order that says because we have decided to make the decision to play with fire that we should not get burned. But the covenant says, these are the words of the covenant which the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab beside the Jordan, saying, when you come to the place that I shall show you, and you shall eat the manna, and you shall eat the quail, and you shall eat the manna, and you shall eat the quail. Y'all better talk to me. the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Come on. Let me just back up, because Mount Horeb was where the fallen angels decided that they would do some things they had no business doing. The same mount where they decided and they saw that the dark men were beautiful. Let's go back. Y'all check the record if you don't believe it. Y'all study, right? There was an honor that got out of place, because their job was to make sure that man was walking the way God said walk. Because there was a spoken order, and they were to maintain order and nudge man to stay in order. Come on, y'all. Come on. You get certain order in your house, right? Or you just let your house run any kind of way? When your children got order, my son ain't do that, my daughter ain't do that. You enable them to continue doing the same thing, and you call it a generational curse, right? Yeah. That's not a generational curse. That's the mere fact that you will not set things back in proper order. That's why many of our men operate the way they operate. Our leaders operate the way they operate. That's dysfunctional order. That's dysfunctional spiritual order. Y'all quiet. Come on. Husbands don't leave their houses because the wife leaves the husband. As he did from the beginning. And he said that you would have authority over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, over everything that was in the land, in the earth, the wild beasts of the field. They didn't even have access into the garden. They couldn't come in the garden. Y'all better talk to me. There were 3 trees in the garden. Y'all better talk to me. When we look at all of these things, and there's a structure that's set up, because in that structure there is set things in place so that we know how there will be an operation of how things will go. Because in structure there are boundaries that are set up, borders that are set up. How far we can go to the east and to the west, to the north and to the south. Who has access, how much access they have. Talk to me. What you can and what you cannot do. What's allowed and what you're not allowed to do. What is allowed to be said and what is not allowed to be said. What is allowed to be brought out of the house in discussion and what is not allowed to be brought out in discussion. We set up plans to how we are going to function and the way the functionality is. Am I right? Right. Or we just going to waste things or throw things away any kind of way because we have access to it, right? When God entered the garden and put man in the garden and he planted, man had all the riches that he could use, but he had no use of it right then and there, did he? But his job was to maintain the garden so that it would not grow wild. Let me ask y'all a question. Is your garden growing wild? Do you have an order of how your garden will be maintained? What's in your garden? Do you know what's in your garden? Are you maintaining your garden? The garden of your mind, the garden of your mentality, the garden of your thoughts, the garden of your spirit. Come on. The garden of your prayer life. Y'all better talk to me. Do you know how to build on making sure you have vested time? What are you vesting your time in? Who are you vesting your time in? What are you vesting your time in? Why have you vested your time in it? Come on. To what purpose? To what veil? Have you really spent the time that you need to spend in God? Do you really spend time with Him for the right reasons? Do you really know Him? Or do you know of him? You can speak of him. You can quote of him. You can talk about now faith is. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes. You can talk about without faith it's impossible to please him. Mm-hmm. You can talk about Yahshua, Yahshua, Yahweh. Mm-hmm. You can talk about where the real part is. You can talk about what happened in Enoch and all of that. But are you willing to make the sacrifice? Can you suffer? Come on. Think about John and James' mom. What does that got to do with Deuteronomy chapter 29? It has a lot because they wanted some seats. Everybody want a seat, right? Right. Everybody want to be on the left, and everybody want to be on the right, and everybody want to be in the middle. Everybody want to be the head, nobody want to be the tail. Mm-hmm. Right? Come on. Everybody want to be elected for something. Everybody want to be the president or something, the vice president, the vice chair, first chair, second chair, right? Come on. First vice, right? Mm-hmm. Y'all talk to me. Yes. Everybody want power. But nobody really want to learn how to be submissive and submitted to nothing. Come on. Nobody want to wait on their calling. You heard you got a call. You know you got a call. You understand what your operation is, but do you know how to function in your operation? And do you know the functionality of what you're operating in? Come on. Do you really have cover? Because you have not gotten rid of the things that you played with before you made the agreement, because you have not stripped yourself of yourself, from yourself, of the things that you played with yourself. Come on. Y'all can talk to me? Yep. Now let me make y'all laugh. Before I started out having a little chest pain. For some reason it left. Some reason it was heavy when I got up. It gone now. I feel light now. I had a lady prophet told me one time, she said, you know what's funny? It's strange that I can look at you and I can just see God just got his hand on your heart and he's squeezing your heart. Mm-hmm. You got a heart problem. Never seen a woman in my life till that day. I'll never forget that. That was years ago. I say all that because when you have covenant with God, there are some things that you gotta change clothes with. Mm-hmm. We don't want to do that because there are times that you gotta stop laying up with things. Come on. See, sometimes it's hard for me. Tell y'all that now, I'm gonna use me. It bothers me. But there's a reason why God will sometimes not allow you to do certain things. Because there's a job that he needs you to be empty for. Come on. There's a reason why he wants you to be at a place of selling for a moment, not for you to go and fulfill it somewhere else. Yep. Come on. Y'all gonna talk to me? Y'all ain't gonna like me tonight, and I don't care. So he goes on in verse number 2, and Moses called unto all Israel and said unto them, ye have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes in the land of Egypt, unto Pharaoh, and unto all his servants, and unto all his... Let me ask y'all a question. Y'all see things God did, but you still want to allow yourself to stay in covenant relationship. And see, when God does that, and the problem is because he needs you to abstain from certain things, you feel abandoned. You feel like ain't nobody, don't look like nothing is happening. It don't seem like your prayers are being heard. Ask me about it. Don't seem like nobody listening. Don't seem like nobody won't be bothered. Personal experience. You feel like you left alone. You feel rejected. You feel rejection. Tell the Lord, this is your stuff. You take it. You created it. You called it. You said establish it. Now you find somebody else to do it. I'm telling you what sometimes I said to Jesus. He said, what? I'm telling y'all. He said, Moses, I need you to tell them. Did they not see what I brought them through? There was a hell of bullets and no bullet here. They've been questioned by all of these agents, and they want to know why they were the only one that didn't get shot. Hello, somebody. Been down that road 30 years ago. Come on, y'all. Yes. Yeah. He goes on in verse 3, he says, the great nations which thine eyes have seen, the signs of those great miracles, y'all ain't never been tempted real bad. I'll give you another one Christmas. Lady brought me over to her house, had a silver platter, sat on it. I'm telling you from personal experience. This is in the past 30 years old. Laid $17 $100 bill across her lap while sitting on the silver platter. Said, Merry Christmas is yours. All you got to do is do what you got to do. Her words to me, she called me over to pray for her. I went over, she said, the door's open, just come in. They called no name. Because the whole point is illustration. At the time. Now to my prayer life. I'm in the back. Where your kids at? Or they left and they had to go somewhere else. This was a Christmas. You keep your money. Walk out the door. By the time that Sunday came, my name was ringing bad. Because my pastor that I was under while I pastored another church knew my reputation better than theirs. Their name rung out bad and they wound up leaving that ministry. Because it had been set up by them and somebody else. Oh, I know temptations. Come on, y'all. The song says, the enemy is tempted on every hand, throwing their rocks and hiding their hands. If you dig one ditch, you better dig two. The trap you set just may be for you. I'm just holding on. That's what he said in the text, right? So when you go past verse 1 in Galatians chapter 5, it says, stand fast, therefore, the liberty wherewith Christ have made you free. See, I don't take my salvation or the grace that I have in God for granted. And I don't ask God for more grace so I can sin more. Because the more grace I got, the more he sustained me so I don't have to worry about sinning. See, grace keep you from sin. Grace don't give you the right to sin. It empowers you so that sin don't draw you in. So he tells them here, let me remind you where you came from. See, in the beginning of our salvation, we feel good. That's what mama do when y'all born, right? Mama protect you still, right? You like a newborn baby. If you're able to be a suckling like I was till 5 years old, that old folks say that's what the best birth control, right? Come on, y'all. See, some of y'all didn't, y'all wasn't on mama breast till y'all were 5 like I was. Oh, my mother was? Yeah, I was on the breast. Y'all know, for those that are faint of heart, yeah, I was on the titty till I was 5. I ain't gonna be lying, I was a breastfeeding for a long time. I want you to laugh, but I'm gonna be serious. And my son can laugh at this because he still loves big breast women. That's why he got a fiance. Why am I saying this? Because God wants us to remember, and when you don't follow the covenant, because you won't operate in order, when there are things that are out of order, that's why they're reestablishing order, because we left order back in the late 80s when you had a Baptist preacher that was married to a wife that decided that she had a problem, that owned Procter & Gamble that said, let's take prayer out of school. Now you got all kinds of problems. Well, first day of school was for some people on yesterday, others today, the day before, and just this morning, a child was shot on their way to school. Need y'all to understand, I keep up with current events. Why? Because we left covenant agreement with God. Yes. We stepped out of order with God. We talk relationship, but we don't have relationship. We marry, but we marry for agreement and contractual. The problem is that we don't really have the right kind of relationships that we should. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand that Joseph and Mary, they had been espoused. Mm-hmm. In other words, they were in the cause of family. Mm-hmm. Joseph led back to where the house that he came from could not have a man to sit on the throne of David. Right. Mary's lineage went back to where from her lineage a man could sit on the throne of David because of the promises of the Lord God. Mm-hmm. That's right, son. But being that Joseph went back to the house of Moab, coming from the lineage of Lot, one of Lot's daughters. Y'all might want to check the record. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with 29, 30, 31, and 32? Because he wanted them to remember that decide they want to go outside and not follow this, whether stranger or whether those that are linked to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the same things that happened to them will happen to you. Come on. Then when they come to your land and find you and see that you're burned like others, they're going to shake their head. But they didn't realize that was another part of what the word had to say was there's always those that still live the way God said live. Come on. They hold on to it. Mm-hmm. And generations to come, because by the time you get to the end of chapter 29, he still said there will be the children's children in the generations to come, and that's where you come in. Uh-huh. Yes. And that's what I love, because you try to take over who I am and make me lose what I am. Mm-hmm. And try to fool me into believing that I am not part of who I was from the beginning. Come on. But I know my relationship. Mm-hmm. Because, the identity will always be on the inside. Mm-hmm. How do I know? Because Jeremiah 31 tells me that he said, no longer will you have to teach everyone neighbor, saying, know ye the Lord. Mm-hmm. Because they shall all know me from the least of them until the greatest of them. Yes. So I ain't got to worry about it, because he forgave my sins. Mm-hmm. Where did he do that? One Thursday, about 9 o'clock in the morning, when they scourged him. Not one Friday, but one Thursday. Mm-hmm. And preachers, I need all y'all to get y'all calculations right. Yep. Come on. Y'all seminary and y'all scholars, and all of y'all people that have went to Bible college, y'all need to get y'all calculations right, because it was on a Thursday that they took him out to the place called Baby. Mm. And by 3 o'clock Thursday evening, they were laying him down in Joseph New Tomb. They had 2 Sabbaths, one high Sabbath and the regular Sabbath the year that he died. Come on. And that's how I know what Jeremiah said. Jeremiah only backed up what Isaiah had already said. For unto us a child is born, a son is given. So I ain't got to worry about my sins, but when I confess it, it's my job to live right. Covenant says that if I still do it, I might be lost. But if I decide that I'm going to live right, then therefore, if any man be in Christ. I'm done. That's all I got for you tonight. He don't want to push it no further. Not another further. Covenant, relationship, and structure. If you get enough out of that, you what I just said. Because I just covered chapter 29, chapter 30, chapter 31, Galatians, Isaiah. I just went into Jeremiah. I just went into Corinthians. Now you figure out which one it was, first or second. If you've been reading and you know, then you know. And the breath of the Lord is still loose. Hey, now I'm going to throw some shade. Tell your school and their theological department, theonoustus means breath, which comes from the word pneumonia. Noustus means breathe. Good night.